Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. Okay, what do we have for you on today's episode? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not doing fine, and I'll show you why. This is how fast progressivism moves. I've often said before that progressivism and progressives is just the same as Marxists and Marxism. It means the same thing. But you know, if you watch this channel, or if you keep up to date with the culture war in general, you will know that the left, the only thing they ever seem to be good at, well, the two things: one, destroying things conservatives made, and two, they are the masters of semantics. This is why they mask their ill intentions with rosy, lovely sounding names like progressivism instead of Marxism, progressive instead of Marxist. Now, you will know that things move fast. We had the mob rule incidents in the United States. Well, we warned you, yet again, conservative commentators warning society that allowing mob rule sets a terrible precedent and others will follow suit. This is my country, this is Britain. Well, it's in Scotland, so it's the northern half. I'm in England. This is a dawn raid on illegal migrants, people who had no right to be where they were. They committed a crime. You can argue until you're blue in the face, I'm blue in the face, whether it should be a crime, whether people just walking into a country uninvited, unannounced, untested for Rona, and without an idea of who these people are or where they're from or what, crucially, their intentions are. We could argue whether that's right or wrong, but that's beyond the scope, because right now the law is the law that you cannot just waltz into a country uninvited, unannounced, untested for Rona and other infectious diseases, and with your intentions unclear, especially when we are currently under severe threat of the T word, the T-ism in this. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. The people who are behind 9/11 and so on and so on and so on. Now, this is a dawn raid on illegal migrants. A mob formed in Scotland. The mob surrounded the police car for 8 hours. And they refused to let it go forwards, backwards, or anywhere. The police then gave in to the mob, just as you've seen in the United States and Canada. And I'm sure it will spread soon to Europe and then Australia and so on. So, the people who are in charge of the law bowed to the mob. Meanwhile, we saw in Canada, I'm sure you've seen it, I did a video on it, a pastor being jailed, dragged out of his car in the middle of the road and dragged along the ground simply for opening his church. So a pastor, a born and bred Canadian pastor, gets humiliated, a Christian preacher humiliated in his own country with no one to help him, dragged along the ground just for trying to worship in his own church. Then you have illegal migrants. No one knows who they are, where they come from, what they want, what they're doing, what they're infected with. And they're allowed to go scot-free. On the contrary, a mob not only demands they go scot-free, they enforce it. Unbelievable. Look, let's get into this clip. We'll get into this now, and then once we've watched it, we'll go over all of the ramifications, and there's some points I want to make anyway. So we'll get into that now, but if you haven't yet, please like this video if you found it informative. Usually I say or entertaining, but this is an entertainment. This is not an entertaining video. This is informing, hopefully, the public what's happening. We're on YouTube and BitChute, so subscribe if you like the content. On YouTube, there's a notification bell you can press, but either way, share this around. There's social media links down below, little icons. We are severely shadow banned and restricted, or reduced as they call it. We can't reach new viewers, so if you could help us get this message out, that would certainly give me a morale boost. Anyway, look, let's get into this video.
for each other.
So this guy here has a Middle Eastern accent. He could have got here 2 years ago. He could have got here 10 years ago. He could have been here legally. Could have been here illegally. I don't know. But he's now dictating terms to us. He's telling us why we are here and what we stand for. We're not allowed to say that ourselves anymore. We have to have him tell us why. Of course, imagine if that Christian pastor who got dragged along the ground and arrested in Canada, in his own country, for trying to worship in Canada, if he went to his country, it would get a lot worse than just be dragged along the ground. Do you think let's say if there was a catastrophe happened and Britain or America, but a Western country, was on its knees and we had to flee, do you think I would be given a warm welcome in his neck of the woods? Of course not. This is the definition of pathological altruism, right? The crowd of people there who, if he, the guy on the microphone, the loudhailer, if he told them to run off literally run off the side of a mountain, like lemmings. This is where the phrase comes from. Lemmings, they do this strange thing where they form a big herd. And then they just run and run and run. And because they're so stupid, the one behind just follows the one in front. So if the one in front flies off the end of a crevice or a ridge or a cliff, they all just go tumbling over. That's what all of these crowd will do. That's how stupid they are. They will do anything he says.
We're not allowing brutality in our streets, where people come and bundle you in.
So he's saying we're not allowed brutality in our streets. Well, it's not your street, is it? And enforcing a law, because you can't just walk into a country. Enforcing the law, immigration law, that's not brutality. Let me tell you what is brutality. Mob rule. What do you mean you're not going to allow it? Who are you to form a mob in the street and tell law enforcement that you're not going to allow something? If that van was arresting one of the lemmings there in the background, one of the native-born Scottish, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't be out there. You're only out there because the person who has been detained looks like you. So who is the realism? Who is the realist?
In the back of the van, as though you have committed very serious crimes, no. But we will stay until the end, and these guys are released, following whatever they need.
Say it, Lord, say it clear! Refugees are welcome here! Say it, Lord, or say it clear!
The weapon of the left, the chant, which is designed, of course, to drum everyone up into a lemming frenzy.
Welcome here! Say it, Lord, or say it clear! Refugees are welcome here! Refugees are welcome here!
You don't even know if they are refugees. Illegal. This is how stupid people are. They don't realise that the concept of an illegal migrant and the concept of a refugee are two different things. Okay, they're not the same thing. That's like saying oil and water are the same because they're both liquids, right? They're two different things. You know nothing about them, but in your mind, because you've been conditioned to, you have automatically judged them to be poor refugees that need your white saviour complex. You don't know who they are, what they want, what they're going to do. How many plots have been foiled in this country over the last 5 years? MI6, MI5 worked their backsides off to stop plots. Plots that were being fomented by people who arrived in the country largely uninvited. So let's watch again. So as you can see, the mob, they've got what they want. They're clapping now. This is the precedent that's been set. Mob violence. Well, let me rephrase that. Not violence, because it's not violent. But you know, if the police car tried to move forwards, then they would be banging on it, throwing things at it and stuff like that. It's the same tactic that we've seen again and again and again, which is surround the car, don't let anything move, because it works. It works for them because they're relying on you not wanting to do anything that would jeopardize their health or to harm them in any way, when all along their intentions to harm you have always been there. And I'm talking about the mob here. I'm not on about migrants, whether legal or illegal. I'm talking about the mob, whether it's Antifa, BLM, and so on and so on. You even saw some of them there with their bibs and so on and that. Just mob rule.
We are here for our neighbors. We're standing for each other. We're not allowing brutality in our streets where, people come and bundle you in the back of the van, as though you have committed very serious crimes. No, but we will stay until the end and these guys are released,
So he's talking about very serious crimes, but surely stopping a police car, blocking it, a van from moving, and stopping the police from doing what they want, surely that is a crime. Getting away from the migrants, legal or otherwise, in the back of the van. If I, as a conservative white man, if I went and stood in front of a police car as a conservative, and let's say they were trying to drag off a conservative speaker or that Christian pastor, they would arrest me immediately. Because it's this mob, it's completely different. Disgusting. Disgusting.
Say it loud, say it clear! Refugees are welcome here! Say it louder, say it clearer! Refugees are welcome here! Say it louder, say it clearer! Refugees are welcome here!
So look, you've already got the guys with the placards. Stand up to ism and ist. How did they get here that quickly? How did they get there that quickly? Disgusting. Disgusting. You're not allowed to enforce your own laws anymore. Look, I've gone on long enough. I'm just repeating myself now. But look, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, it's annoyed me because the precedent's been set now. You take what happened in the United States, in DC, on January the 6th. A precedent had been set. People had seen that if you gather in groups and try and enforce your will on the government or on law enforcement, that it works. But the problem is, with on January the 6th, it was conservatives that tried it. Again, I do not support what they've done. You gave the left and the Democrats and the mainstream media especially everything they wanted. After all those summers of BLM and Antifa, you finally gave them what they wanted, which is something to throw back at conservatives, and they're going to do that non-stop. They will use January the 6th against you for the next 100 years, right? And they'll just completely ignore everything that's happened, all of the neighbourhoods that got burnt down, the businesses, the big stores and so on that got burnt down. They'll ignore that, but they'll use January the 6th against you forever. But this is what I mean. The precedent has been set. Mob rule works, but only if you're a leftist. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to this channel either on YouTube or BitChute if you found it interesting. Share the video around because we are shadow banned. It would really help get us viewed a bit more. We are nowhere near as viewable as we once were because we are shadow banned. We don't get suggested to new viewers anymore. So if you could share it around, that would be appreciated. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.